Ever wonder why, for some people, a simple bet isn't just a bit of fun, but feels more like the start of an inescapable trap? Well, today we're going to dive deep into the powerful hook of gambling addiction, what's actually happening in the brain, what it does to a person's life, and most importantly, how to break free. So, why is it so tough to just walk away? It's a great question. And the first thing you have to understand is that this isn't about being weak or having no willpower. No, the answer is actually hardwired right into our own brain chemistry. Unlocking that is the real key here. To really get what we're talking about, we have to be super clear on the official term, gambling disorder. And the two key words in that whole definition are cannot control. This is so much more than just a bad habit. It's a powerful compulsion that can literally override everything else, even when a person's life is falling apart around them. Okay, so where does that intense compulsion even come from? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look inside the brain itself. This is where the chemical hook of addiction really sinks in and takes hold. Our brains have this amazing built-in reward system. It's designed to make us feel good when we do things that are essential for survival, like eating or connecting with others. But gambling, well, gambling can hijack this primal system, basically rewiring it for a completely different and far more dangerous purpose. And the main chemical culprit here is dopamine. You've probably heard of it. It's the brain's feel-good messenger. With every bet, the brain gets a flood of it, creating this powerful rush of pleasure. But here's the real twist. It's not just the wins that do it. The near misses, those "oh, I almost had it" moments, they also trigger that same dopamine hit. The brain gets hooked on the possibility, reinforcing that urge to gamble again and again and again. Of course, it's not all just brain chemistry. External factors can create the perfect storm. Things like high stress, the fact that we have 24/7 access to betting apps right on our phones, or even just having a personality that thrives on taking risks. All of these can make someone way more vulnerable to falling into an addiction. So that's the science behind the hook. But how does this chemical process actually translate into real-world behavior? What are the red flags we should be looking for that signal a problem is developing? Because addiction isn't just some abstract concept you read about in a textbook, right? It shows up in clear, unmistakable ways in a person's day-to-day life. So just think about what this really looks like. Gambling starts to take over their every thought. They begin chasing their losses, completely convinced that the next big win is just around the corner and that it'll fix everything. They start hiding it from the people they love, maybe even borrowing money secretly. These aren't just bad choices. They're classic, textbook signs of a disorder taking control. And those warning signs are so critical because they point toward very real, very severe consequences. The cost of this addiction goes way beyond just losing money. The financial damage is usually the thing people notice first. We're talking about crippling debt, savings accounts totally drained, and that constant gnawing stress of not knowing how you're going to pay for rent or even groceries. But there's a hidden cost too, the mental one. And this part is brutal. The constant pressure creates this immense anxiety and stress. That's usually followed by these crushing waves of guilt and shame that just completely destroy a person's self-esteem. In the worst case scenarios, it can lead to a feeling of total and utter hopelessness. And from there, the damage just ripples outward. It fractures trust with family, it pushes friends away, and it can completely derail a career or an education. This is truly an addiction that consumes every single part of a person's life. Now, I know, seeing all that damage can feel incredibly overwhelming, even hopeless. But the most important thing to know is that there is a way out. So, let's talk about the path to recovery. Let me just say this as clearly as I can. This is the single most important message. No matter how deep that trap feels, recovery is always possible. The cycle can absolutely be broken, and there are structured, proven ways to get help. Recovery isn't just one single action. It's a multi-front approach. It means getting professional help, like therapy, to start rewiring those compulsive thought patterns. It means finding support groups where you can share what you're going through without any judgment. It also involves taking really practical steps, like getting financial counseling and blocking access to gambling sites. And really, at its core, it's about building a support system of people you trust. And it all begins with one powerful decision, the choice to not stay where you are. That first step, that decision to change, that's everything. It's the moment someone starts to take back control of their own life.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. We've talked a lot about the individual's path, but this is also a bigger question for all of us. Now that we know the risks, how do we build a society that actually does more to protect the vulnerable instead of setting these kinds of traps? What is our collective responsibility in all this?